Hello academicians, and welcome to our next tutorial on spreadsheet. Today we'll be focusing on solving related questions on the lookup functions that we have explored in our previous session. These functions are essential in data analysis and management, allowing you to search for and retrieve specific information. In the previous video, we looked at when to use these lookup functions, whether it's Vlookup, HLookup, or just a lookup. Vlookup searches vertically down the first column of the range. HLookup searches horizontally across the first row. And the lookup can be used in both ways on the data layout. It is very important that you understand the syntax and the parameters required in each function. That is what Cambridge is expecting of you. The first of this question we are going to look at is the summer 2019 paper 3-2. Let's head into it and explore. Right, so let's look at this question. I'm sure by looking at the data, you can draw some similarities in a particular question that we have looked at in our previous videos. In that video, we're supposed to label one table as JC and the other one was unlabeled, just like we see over here. So it's the same thing that we have explored earlier, and we are going to look at it. We are going to pay attention to the lookup because this time around, our concentration is on the lookup. That is what we have discussed, and that is what we want to practice. From this question, we shall look at another question that provides a very complex lookup function. Good. So let's head into it. The preamble to all questions are very important. They contain some key information that you need to complete the task. So don't ignore the preamble and just head towards solving the question. You are going to prepare a spreadsheet for special disk sales. This company makes and sells storage devices. The company has 49 employees, and the company uses a spreadsheet to record the hours worked each week and calculate the pay of the employees. All employees are paid in euros, which must be displayed in 2 decimal places. So take note of the currency symbol and the details. Open the file and examine the file J1931emp.csv. In your spreadsheet package, replace the text in cell A1 with SDS weekly pay. Delete rows 3 to 7 inclusive. Format the top of the spreadsheet to look like this. And I've explained to you why it is essential to read through the question even before you start. Format the merge cells A1 to have a white text on a dark green background. Save this spreadsheet with a file name SDS. So if I were you, I open the file and I inspect. I'll do this task before I continue because I've explained to you why it is important to save your file, the CSV file, change it to Excel workbook. Okay. So we have our file here. And in the question, it says that we should replace what is in A1 with SDS. Delete rows 3 to 7 inclusive. Good. And then format the document to look like this. It is important to look out for a couple of things. You can see here there are no grid lines. The outside border, there's an outside border. The font family used over here. The font family used over here. All these things are essential skills that you need to pay attention to. whilst you solve such a question. So let me head straight to it. Okay, let me stick with this. It is italic. And from the design, let's go back to the question. From the design, you could see that the one has been opened up a bit, the two is closed. Yeah, all others look okay. The text, each one should be white text in a dark green background. We just go for the background. Let's do dark. And then a white font. Right. So the rest of the formatting has to do with this. Provide a, sorry. Thick outside border, same as this. Thick outside border. And open up the cells. Okay, so we have our document going nicely. After this, save as Excel workbook, SDS GH00. Okay. Place your name, center number, and candidate number right aligned. Right aligned in the header. Place the text last revised on, followed by an automated date, then a space, then an automated time, left aligned in the header. So this is to the left of the header, and our name is to the right of the header. You can simply do that by going to page layout. The left has that's the right that has the name, and then the left has last revised on, followed by an automated date, a space, and automated time. Right. So after that, let's go back to our normal view. Create a name range called offices using only cells A5 to B13 inclusive. So we have looked at this already. A5 to B13, and you can see that they are not including the headings. Also, we looked at when we are supposed to use a Vlookup, and you can see the structure of the two tables. The data, we have the labels on top, the data coming down for each record. Go to formula, define name. The name here is offices. And you can see it has created an absolute reference for us already. Right. In cell G17, use a function to look up the job description. Use the job code column for the lookup. Do not use a named range. The first one in F17, use a function to look up the office's name, the office name. Use the office code column for the lookup. In this question, gracefully, they have actually showed you the lookup values to use. Okay. So equals Vlookup, call your dialog box. We have been given our lookup value. Select our lookup table, and you can call it by name. But immediately I select the same array, you see the name that I've created pop up. Column index, very simple, is 2. Range lookup, we have explained it. False because it's an exact match. There is no difference between, there is no range between A and B. It's A, Amsterdam, B, Brussels. There isn't any value in between A and B, which will be approximated. So these are exact matches. In our previous video, we explained when to use exact match and when to use approximate match. Okay. Back to the question. In J17, use a function to look up the job description. Use the job code section. Good. So the same Vlookup, call your dialog box. M for lookup value, lookup table. And in this job description, it's also in the second column. And it is exact match. However, in this situation, our table of array is unlocked. It is not absolute. When we duplicate, however, it should remain the same. Our table of array should remain the same. In that regard, use the magic key F4 to lock it up. In cell J17, use a function to look up the rate of pay. Do not use a named range. So as we described earlier, you don't create a named range because it is convenient. You create it when you have been asked to do so. Duplicate the rate of pay equals Vlookup once again. This is still our lookup value. This is our lookup table, but rate of pay is in the third column. So column 3, also exact match. Okay. Back to the question. Replicate what we have, 4 to 7. In cell I, use a function to count the number of employees who worked some hours during the week. In cell K7, use a function to calculate the total pay for all employees. The hours worked by all employees were the same as their contract hours, except for the following: Alfonso Irizarry, Sergi Anaya, Hein Westmuller, and so forth and so on. Mind you, if you look in the question, this, you can still create your function before you come to do this. But if you want to see and you don't want to get confused, you can do 11 before you come and do 9 and 10. Okay, so let's go into it. Duplicate. Oh, I was supposed to lock it. I did not. So that is one of the things that you may be exposed to, and then you get confused. You'll be shouting in the exam room, hey, why do you have errors? It's because you did not lock your table. Good. So here, to make it very short, everybody worked the same hours as their contract hours, with the exception of the names that they have given us. And the names they have given us is the smallest. So it is better to do this equate to be the same one, and then later you go into to change the names that you have been given. And down here it says equals count, a very simple count. Well, let's use count if this range, if we have worked some hours, then it should be greater than 0. Good. And then the total for this equals good. So now let us go ahead and edit these details for those who worked differently from their contract hours. Select the data in the Home tab, go to Filter, and you can sort in this case by either the first name or the last name. Let's try the last names. Please select all. There is Anaya, as I see here. There is Cooper. You can see the name, and one way that you can do that is when you come back, you can search for the names. Irizarry, add to the parent list. Nichols, add to the parent list. Let me see if it is updated. Okay. Weber, add to the current list. Sealer. Good. So now that we have our lists complete, we can now change the hours worked for each person. Quickly reference their hours worked are shown here. Tracy, Heine, and Sandra did not do any work in the week. So let's go ahead and input their times. Alfonso, so if I'm done, it's appropriate that I clear my filter. Right. And now I can calculate my pay. This is equal to hours worked multiplied by rate. If you remember, in the other question, it was actually supposed to be a Vlookup that had to get the rate of pay. Then you multiply by the hours worked, which is basically the same. So here, rate of pay is also supposed to be formatted together with this as currency euros and 2 decimal to currency euros. Euro. Good. So we have completed the major part of the question. So this question had a very simple lookup or VLOOKUP that was used. In the next video, we are going to look at another example where the lookup was slightly complex than what we have seen over here. So stay on, watch that video, and let's complete our task. See you in the next video.